So let me ask you this. What is one hot take, controversial opinion that you hold?
I have a hot take about SOC 2, which in GRC could mean several things. But my hot take in the GRC space is that for a SOC 2 audit, all of the criteria should be optional for the pursuing organization. And what I mean by that is today, a company decides they want to go SOC 2. They want to get a type 1, type 2, whatever they feel. They're forced to do the common criteria, right, out of the gate. And I think what happens there is it pressures these organizations to accelerate the SOC 2 control set they have in their environment. That can lead to the kind of commodity space, right? Not throwing shade, but what it does is to say, instead of developing an internal control set that they can scale and use to cross map across other frameworks, they adopt a platform that says, wait till everything turns green, call an auditor, and you've got SOC 2. And what happens there is you get instilled with these practices that become check the box exercises, right? It's like, why am I doing security awareness training? It's good. And also we need it for SOC 2, or I have endpoint verification on my laptop. SOC 2 says we have to do it. So we're doing it, right? As opposed to saying like, I'm going to design a security outcome that addresses these requirements. So I think that it would reduce that barrier of entry for SOC 2, where a smaller organization that can't do everything in the common criteria and just wants to get it done to make a deal, they can adopt what they can achieve. The auditors can audit against what they have there, and they can scale that program over time, which can show that maturation that everyone wants to see from a provider they're working with. And then it also, on the flip side, would force the other organization to actually read the SOC 2 report, which I know is just, that might be a hot take in and to itself, right? Like reading a SOC 2 report. But you wouldn't know, right? You would have to go through and determine what controls are in scope, what have they assessed against, and then that can trigger that questionnaire, right? The lovely questionnaire that everyone wants, and say, listen, your SOC 2 only covered the common criteria points 1, 3, and 6. Like, so I need to know more about your logging practices if you have any, right? And then you can have that engagement and maybe a design partner for these controls, and you can design them over time effectively, as opposed to just shoving something in because SOC 2 said we had to do it. The line I heard one day, I didn't coin this, is that there's nothing more permanent than a temporary firewall rule. And in GRC, there's nothing more permanent than a control. I think more often than not, once a control is in there and you start doing something, it becomes the reason we do it is because of SOC 2. Right? So that's my hot take. I just feel like it's a way to allow more entry points into the SOC 2 environment, encourage that trust relationship between service provider and consumer, and would just foster more like collaboration through that vendor risk process.